So the first thing you're going to have to do is to turn on or to power on the scanner, and then you're going to put in the appropriate attachment. Once the appropriate attachment is in and the scanner is powered up, you're going to click on the Nikon Scan icon to launch the scan software. Now, if the icon does not appear on your desktop, you can click on the magnifying glass to do a search, spotlight search, type in the word Nikon, and look for the Nikon Scan 4 software. Once the Nikon Scan 4 software has been completely launched, you can insert your media into the appropriate feeder. The settings palette on the upper left should indicate the proper film type based upon which feeder is mounted inside the Nikon slide scanner. If it doesn't, however, switch it over. For slides, you want to have it set to positive, and for negatives, you want to have it set to negative. Pick the appropriate color negative for either black and white or color negative based on the type of negative that it is. For the color space model, you want to be sure to set calibrated RGB for both. The tool palette should be up on the right side as well, and necessary palettes for beginning scanner should be the crop palette, in addition to the digital ICE and the scan image enhancer. I like to turn on all the options available for the scan enhancement on the Nikon ICE scanner. You're going to insert the proper media in with the shiny side up and the emulsion or duller side down facing the scan array. You'll click on Preview to do a preview scan or initial scan of your media. Once your preview image appears in the window, it's time to set the options as far as sizing. The two most important to most students are the finished output size, and we'll set that here, and the scaling and resolution. So the finished output size for our particular scan will be 8 by 10 inches. I'm going to set the width to 10 inches. I'm going to set the height to 8 inches. Make sure that inches is selected in the pop-up for the measurements. Down where the resolution is, use the appropriate resolution for your particular halftone line screen. In this case, the assumption is 150 line screen, so we'll need to have a 300 pixel per inch resolution. Once those two items are set, within the scan preview area, you'll notice that there's a dashed or dotted line indicating the proper aspect ratio for your 8 by 10 scan. You can move this and you can resize it. Note carefully as we resize that the amount of scaling will change. The smaller the box is, the larger the scaling size will be. So as I take this down a little bit to fit it to the artwork, you'll notice that the actual scaling size is 968%. If we make it larger, that number actually goes down. Now there's some decisions to be made because rarely does a negative or a positive size correspond to a finished output. In this case, the original size of about 0.83 inches by 1.05 inches doesn't correspond to an aspect ratio that's 10 by 8. So I can move around and make some choices about where I want to crop off part of the image. Seeing this image and approving of it for the final size, I can go ahead and click on the scan button. This is a good time to double check to make sure all your settings are as you expect. you'll see the finish scan pop up in the Nikon scanner window. If you need to change the orientation, you can click on the rotate buttons. Or you can perform additional cropping at this point. Most people will elect to do many of the post-production edits in Photoshop instead. So we'll simply go up to File inside the scanner menu, click on Save As, and tell the file where to be saved. In this case, I'm just going to save it to the desktop. I'm going to call this Test Scan, and I'm going to make sure I save it in a lossless format. I'm going to save mine as a TIFF. I want to go directly into Photoshop and edit it within the program. I'll click Save, and you'll see on the right side of the screen that the test scan has been successfully saved. You can now close the Nikon scan, and if you're working with a 35mm mounted positive transparency, you can simply press on the eject button and shut down the scan software. Click on the eject film icon and it will eject the strip negative from your scanner. You can then click on the close button and quit the Nikon scan software.